Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Justin White. We're sitting down here today with BMS Tuning in Hamilton, Canada?
Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, yeah.
Canada, eh? Anyways, we kind of want to get a little bit of insight from our northern fellow, and looking around it, it's kind of just like in the US, but a little bit different, and we're going to kind of discuss that a little bit and get a little insight into how they do things here. First thing, obviously, where did this start? I know you had said that 2001 you've been doing this. So, what made you want to do this?
Well, I started in 2001, and to be honest, I was 21, 22 years old, and I've always been into cars my whole life. Even then, I loved everything, and it kind of started for me as a necessity because I couldn't afford to pay anybody else to do it. So I learned how to do it myself.
Similar story.
Yeah, I get that a lot, actually. A lot of people in the industry that I've met, all say the same kind of thing. And back then, I was into Hondas. I had a EG Civic, and we put a B16 in it, and I had to tune it, but I couldn't afford to pay anybody to do it. I did it. I was probably 17 years old. This is before I opened the business, and I didn't have the money. I just learned how to do it. 2001? 2001 we started the business. This was probably 98. This
is like pre-Honda and all that.
Yeah, so I was using, my memory could be vague on some of the stuff, but I was using an SAFC.
Okay.
Which was very limited. It was just fueling only.
Little signal modifiers.
Yeah, and we were using like FMUs on the fuel pressure regulator, the regulator with rising rate fuel pressure regulators.
Did you ever use more than one?
No. We always ran the one, and it worked. And then we kind of the Honda came after, but then we started using Greddy eManage, and the eManage was actually pretty good. Because you could do fueling, you can do, because it would interpolate, it would intercept the sensors before the ECU, but it would also control the injectors after. So you can do a lot more control with it, and you can also do timing, which was obviously a lot better than just doing the Apexy SAFC, and that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah, it's funny how many people that get into this domestic-wise and all that, we all started from Hondas. That was like the thing back then, and I did it as well. I had an Integra, same thing. But I didn't actually do the tuning. I had a guy, Darren, in Baton Rouge that did it for me. But so what got you out of the Hondas? What brought you, into the domestic land?
I'm trying to think how it never was like a clear-cut transition. It just it was Hondas, and then it was like we did like RX-7s, FDs. Twin turbo Supras back then. This is now it's more like probably like 02, 03. And then it just, occasionally we would get a guy come in with a Corvette and we would start doing the Corvettes. And I guess it's just, I don't know exactly what the reason was. Maybe just the clientele. I grew older. People, just my outlook on things changed and just different customer bases. But the V8 stuff was always, I guess it's easier to make power with a V8 than it is with a small four-cylinder. And there's not to say you can't make power. There's guys making incredible amounts of power with K-Series and all kinds of Hondas these days.
Yeah, K-Series wasn't there yet.
Back then, yeah. So we were actually the first in 03, 04. We were the first ones around here to put a K-Series in a four-door, into anything really. We had bought a wrecked Type S and RSX and put the drivetrain in a four-door EK Civic with a turbo on it. And that one was on an AEM V1, I believe, back then.
That'd be a pretty stout combo then.
It worked very well. It was like, for back then, it was fast, probably like, I don't know, 500 wheel or something, but back then it worked well.
500 wheel used to be a lot.
Yeah.
Now 500 wheel is like, that's less than stock.
Yeah, and in some cases, but yeah, and then after that, it just, we really didn't get into major V8 stuff probably until about maybe, in 2016 we were like exclusively V8 stuff, and that's when we kind of rebranded as BMS Tuning, and before you see Boost Motorsports, that's what the BMS stands for, and we rebranded as BMS Tuning, and just we only did domestic stuff after that. Occasionally, if I had an older customer that we did stuff for before, I would still build them a Honda stuff, and We actually have an H22 in the engine room right now. I don't know if you noticed it, but that's
Fiber sleeves?
that one's been re-sleeved. But we're doing it for a customer that we've known for a long time. So it was a friend of a friend kind of deal, and we've known the one guy for a long time, so I said I would do it. But
Well, I wonder, I would think, I guess, I don't know, but the car scene, I assumed, was always a little different here than it is in the States, but it kind of seems that we've got the same roots.
yeah, I guess the biggest difference is that it's very seasonal, but I guess that goes for the northern states too, right? But it's, we don't have the luxury of being able to do this every month, 12 months out of the year, right? We're lucky if we can do it 4 or 5 months out of the year.
I was going to say, you guys usually get like a 3 or 4 month season, right?
Yeah, it depends. Like sometimes, like we have races up until last year. Last race was October 8th, I think it was. It was cold. It was chilly, but we were still no prep racing.
I don't think I know what cold is.
No, you told me.
That it's 68 out here in the middle of June.
This morning you told me you were freezing. You were asking me if I had a parka you could wear.
It was cold. 68. Sensitive. So would you say that the market here for cars and the culture is similar or a little different? Or how often do you go to the States, and how would you relate it?
We've been going to the States in the last 4 years when we already started no prep racing a lot. We've been going to the States. I don't think it's different at all. Like from what I can tell, it's exactly the same. I mean, all of our parts we buy from the States. Like we've been a Texas speed dealer since I think 2016. We do all their products. We do BTR. We do everything. I don't know if it's much different really. It's just that it's not year round as it is would be for you guys, especially down in Texas and stuff, right?
What about shipping, accessibility, things like that? Because I'm sure that's got to be a little bit difficult with importing and.
That's always been an issue. So we've kind of learned to adapt to that like early on in the business. So we've always shipped stuff to a U.S. address across the border, and we're only 45 minutes from the Buffalo border. So I used to go and pick stuff up. Now we use a freight forwarding company that we ship stuff to Buffalo. They forward it to Mississauga, 25 minutes away from here, and we go pick it up. But it's we pay so much more for what you guys are paying for stuff. Our dollar right now. There used to be a time where our dollar was on par, and our dollar was even slightly better in like I think the mid 2000s, 2010, something like that. But now it's like
74 cents, I think.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like we buy a $100 item, we pay almost $140 Canadian. And like I've been talking to a lot of people in the States, and the salaries for like mechanics or whatever, they're pretty much on par, right? So that's, I guess, the biggest challenge for people here is that it just costs a lot more to build the cars because they make the same amount of money, but the parts cost right now 40% more, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondered if that was a big hurdle because like when we relocated to Puerto Rico, it's not like you just go down the street. Yeah. We're used to being in Houston, right? Where we can just go down the street and grab whatever we need. And being in Puerto Rico, it's a little different. I'm like, but it's also taught us a little bit of patience and things like that. So I don't hate it, but I'm definitely more prepared when we go into something. So I guess that's something you'd have to be here, right? But it seems like you do a lot of stuff in-house.
Yeah, so we've also adapted, I guess, in that way that we do everything in-house aside from, we don't do any painting, but we do fab work, like we custom fabricate everything. It's all TIG welded. We build majority of our own engines. We don't do the engine machine work because that's a whole other ball game. Yeah. But we rely on machine shops that we've been dealing with for, in some cases for 20 years since the beginning. He actually just retired, which is sad, but he was a really good machinist. So now we're trying to find another one to replace him. But we don't just deal with one machine shop. We deal with like 3 or 4 just for time purposes. And sometimes he's too busy, but this guy's not, and we just move stuff around. But everything else we do in-house. Like we have a dedicated fabricator. The guy's an extremely talented welder. We have my son who does all the wiring in-house for all the race cars and all the normal stuff. Of course,
you got to see, which was pretty clean work.
Yeah, he does. Nice. He's young, but he's extremely talented. Yeah. I don't know where he gets it from, but I guess it's out of necessity. And I've always been the kind of person where if I don't know how to do something, I need to know how to do it. Like I used to be at one point it was just me, and then it was me and another guy, and now we have 4 employees plus me, plus my wife doing the books. And everything we do, I taught myself how to do. Aside like the tuning at an early age, like we talked about earlier, TIG welding, I taught myself how to TIG weld, and just pretty much everything. I don't do any of that anymore. Like I still can, but I just don't have the time for it. Right. You know, now it's like I do all the, you know, the business part of it, the sales, and then all the tuning, of course.
Something that I've dealt with, and I've owned shops before, and the big issue I had was I always had the 2-week rule. It's like you'd hire somebody, and within 2 weeks they'll show you who they are. Mm-hmm. Is that an issue up here, or are people a little more motivated to do things the right way? Because it just seems like after about 2 weeks, people kind of just get their groove and they just do what they have to.
It depends. I mean, I don't know if it's really up here or anywhere. It just honestly, the best techs I've had haven't even been automotive techs. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Like,
nope.
I've hired guys that were, you know, mechanics for 5 years, 10 years, and they're good, but they're not great. This stuff is different. You know what I mean? If you're used to just being a parts guy I shouldn't say parts guy, but like if you're used to working at a dealership and just basically doing the same thing all the time, and it's always the same thing where you can just pull it up on all data and it shows you how to do it and all that. It doesn't work like that in this world. And that's been the biggest challenge, finding guys that can adapt to what we do, because everything's custom. Like even if you buy a bolt-on supercharger kit or whatever, you know, sometimes it all just fits the way it's supposed to fit, but sometimes the guy has aftermarket valve covers or aftermarket this and it doesn't line up and you got to fab something up, and you know, a lot of these dealership type mechanics get frustrated with it because it doesn't work and they're like, oh, this is bullshit, whatever. But the guys that have really been the best techs that I've had are guys that are, you know, never started as techs, started as millwrights.
Well, that makes sense, because I started as a GM tech.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot more structured, and do this, do that. This is the procedure. Mm-hmm. And then getting into performance world, it's like, throw that book out.
Yeah, but I found over the years that now I kind of try to give everybody things that they're really good at. Like my son is excellent at wiring, for example. So anything that has to do wiring, he does the wiring. Yeah. You know, I have another guy who's very meticulous with stuff, and he does all the like our cam installs and everything. And he's not the fastest guy, but in this business, I don't care.
It's not the best.
No, I always tell my guys, I said, I don't care if it takes you longer as long as it's done right. And I'm my worst enemy, where I will go back over stuff. I'm like, you know what? It works. It looks great, but let's change it. Mm-hmm. You know, and we lose money sometimes, but I always like to do things the way that it was my own car. Every single vehicle, I'm like, if this was my car, this is how I'd want it done.
I specifically do it not how I do my own car.
Well, you probably tried different
mine to get it done, and I'm like, close enough. Well, but no, I mean, it's taking pride in your work, and that's something that 100%. Is sadly pretty rare in this industry lately. I'd say lately, over the last like 10 years, you'd notice you'll start getting cars from some of these shops, and they're just not done right. Or there was no planning ahead. There was no, you know, prevention for this happening, or, you know, and I think it's just a lot of the younger people getting into it and not having the bad experiences that we had early on. Mm-hmm. So they're not doing the preventative stuff they could have done.
100%. And like we said, with the planning ahead, we get a lot of, we do a lot of tuning for cars that we don't build, right? For people that build them. And a lot of people are, you know, they build very good, very great cars, but a lot of times what will happen is they don't have the right combination of parts. And I tell people, I'm like, look, if you're buying the parts yourself, you're not buying it from me, it doesn't matter. Just reach out to me, ask me what I think you should use, and I will tell you. You know, whether you go buy it from your buddy can get you a deal or whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'd rather you come in and I know it's going to work. I know your fuel pump's going to be big enough. Your injectors are going to be big enough. Your turbo or your supercharger pulley setup is going to work for what you want to make, so that we have a proper, you know, day of the dyno, and you make the power you want to make safely. Stuff's not going to blow up. It's going to work.
That's the issue with remote stuff. That's why we started doing consultation stuff. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, look, dude, I'd rather you just do this phone call than I tell you, you know, before you buy a bunch of parts and I have to tell you, hey, everything you bought is not going to work. Yeah. So I'm sure you deal with that a lot. But do you do a lot of remote work? Do you do mostly in-house?
So up until about 6 months ago, it was pretty much all in-house. And the one thing that I didn't like about remote tuning is that, and we do it now, but I'm still kind of getting used to it, is, you know, you're not there seeing the car, seeing what it is. And a lot of people are like, well, you're just looking at a data log. Yeah, but when you're sitting in the car, you feel things, you hear things that you don't always see right away in the data log. You know what I mean? Like you hear a rattle, you feel something. So many times I'm in the car and I'll lift, and my guys are like, oh, why did you lift? I'm like, well, I felt something. or I heard something. And now you're relying on that person that's in the car, operating the car to have that ability to do that and know when to do that. And that way you don't look at the log, you're like, well, yeah, it had a lot of knock there. And now you're looking at it, after the fact, and hopefully nothing happened. But my other problem with remote tuning, and this is just me again, like I don't have a problem with remote tuning in general, is, that was one thing that I was always leery about, because it's your name on the product at the end of the day.
And you've got to build that kind of trust with the customer.
Yeah, so you have to deal with people that kind of know a little bit about the situation, and they know it's going to work, and they know what to look for and all that kind of stuff. But also, to me, it was just kind of organizing everything and having everything, laid out, and having a bunch of emails from people and this and that. But we went with HP Tuner's RTD devices. So that's really changed my mind a lot on how remote tuning for me is going to work better for our business too. So we're getting a little bit more into that now with the RTD device because it's easier with the app. Do you do stuff with the TDN app, or you do it?
Some, just because I don't know. I like when they have the MPVI. It's just a lot easier for me to go back and forth, and I don't really care enough on the locking file thing. Like, I think I got to just read it again.
Do you lock your files or no? So I've always been like
that a long time ago, and then I realized that like over the years, if you think of what you do now versus what you did 6 months ago, is it the same?
It depends what it is.
It's not. For me, every 6 months, it's so vastly different that I feel like, and I don't only feel, I've seen it, is people will get a file that they know was something that we did, right? And they'll copy stuff out of it, but they don't know why they're copying it.
Well, that's the problem.
And that's where they get into their own trouble. So it's like, yeah, you can copy my file and you can get this far, right?
But you'll never get to the full again. Yeah.
Anything goes wrong, they're not going to know how to fix that issue. And that's where I just feel like, and the other thing is I never want to inconvenience the customer.
No, like I've never actually locked a file ever in my life. The RTD kind of does it.
You should try it, it's fun.
Generically. But I've always been like, I've always had the mindset like I want to treat customers the way I would want to be treated. And I've had customers come to me and say, hey man, my file is locked. I don't like the way the car runs. Can you fix it? And I'm like, well, I can't fix it, but I can retune it because there's no fixing it. I have to start over.
Right.
And even if I could, I don't like to go over other people's tunes. I like to always start over. I've tried that before, and because everybody kind of has their own way of doing things sometimes, right? And one way may not work with another way.
Well, and you never know if there's something that somebody's done in the background that you didn't have access to.
Yeah.
And then it causes issues.
Fair, so
you be careful with.
A lot of times I will load in a stock file, or I should say all the time I would load in a stock file and then start with that, right? But then the remote tuning, we've been doing more and more of it, and I'm getting more and more comfortable with the fact that people, but you have to ask the right questions, and there's so many more questions that you're asking when you're not able to see the car.
Well, and the other thing is something I've really learned and I've had to adjust for is fueling in different areas. Oh, yeah. So West Coast 91, like Qatar, it's really hot, but their fuel's not super great. Germany, they've got super great fuel. You would think, but they don't. But Germany, like they have pumps with, essentially race gas. So it's learning the different fuels is something else that was kind of cool. Learning the climates, learning that, if they're at altitude, you need to run a little more timing or it's going to foul the plugs out. It's something I think just takes a lot of time of just going through cars. And I think the traveling kind of helps with that, right? Because I get to experience it.
Yeah, because now okay, you've been in this area of the country in person. Now you know kind of what to look for in terms of the fueling and the altitude.
Once you get comfortable with it, just like we were just talking about the IET tables for the methanol, you learn to put things into a file that will ultimately save them from themselves, right? So something you got into, I guess, not super recently, but the no prep stuff, which is these.
Yeah, so we kind of, no prep kind of fell into our lap a little bit. So we were always building, like I said, for the last 10 years, only domestic V8 stuff. So the way it kind of started with the no prep, we built a 5th gen Camaro for a customer. 427 turbo car, manual valve body, 4L80, 9-inch IRS rear end, very similar to that car. And there was an event local 2 hours away from us, and we went and we entered in a modern muscle class. Didn't expect anything. The owner of the car wasn't super comfortable with the car at that time yet, so he said, can you drive the car for me? And I'm like, I'm not a big fan of driving customers' cars that hard because, I don't want anything to happen. I don't want to be responsible for anything that happens, right? But I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And it was a no prep event. And I didn't even know it was even a no prep event. He wanted to go to it. I said, let's go. We actually ended up winning that event in the modern muscle class. And I was like, this is fun. And what I liked about it is the challenge of putting the power down on a surface that's not optimal. Right? Like I shouldn't say it's easy to make horsepower, but it's a lot easier to make horsepower these days than it was, 15 years ago. But to put that power down on the street, like I know you guys like to do a lot of like 60 to 130. Is what you guys? Yeah. We've never. That's not really up here. It's not really a big thing yet.
Your roads are not suited for that.
Our roads are not the best. They are not the best. Not. But that kind of led into let's get a little bit more into the no prep stuff. And one of our customers, the guy that actually owns this car behind us here with the unusual setup, he had a truck at the time, a green pickup truck, and we tried to run that in small tire, and we learned very quickly that car wasn't the weight of the vehicle. Not to say you can't make trucks fast. Like I know the guys in Texas, what are the guys? Midnight.
Exception to the rule.
Yeah, those trucks are unreal. But we decided to go with a Fox body, like everybody goes with a Fox body, and they work. The chassis work.
It's a killer chassis. There's so much aftermarket. That's
the thing, right? Like there's so much to do with it, and not to say you need a Fox body to be competitive. You don't. You really don't. And it's funny because now how far this car has come. This car is very not Fox body anymore. The suspension, the engine placement, everything is there's no Fox body about it.
Yeah.
Right. But I love the fact that you can make a lot of power, and these cars make a lot of horsepower, but controlling it and getting down on a surface, and it's challenging, and I really enjoy doing it because it challenges me.
Yep.
As a tuner and as a builder and everything else, and getting the car to work on something that it shouldn't work on. And we're going speeds that, not to say that we're the fastest car or whatever, but we're going speeds that guys are doing on front side in some cases, and
which is really cool because the technology that it takes and the advanced tables and things like that it takes to kind of make all this work and keep the driver safe.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's something that a lot of people don't get to experience.
Yeah, and people think it's easy. It's not. It's not easy. It's not rocket science, but it's not easy. And we're there, like with these two cars, for example. Like we're there at every single event with them, and we're between rounds. We're walking the track. We're checking it out. We're watching what the other guys are doing. Seeing how they're getting down, which lane is better. Watching the data, pulling data logs, watching the drive shaft speed. Like we're running obviously traction control. We're running laser height sensors on them, and all these things help you come up with a tune that's going to work.
Well, and everybody kind of has their own take on how things should be done, right? So it kind of gives you a variance, and it kind of gives you your own niche and your own groove, which I think is really.
And we like to, I like to learn. I've always watched, and I always say in no prep, like we're not racing another car, we're racing the lane, right? But you always learn from people. You learn from your own mistakes. You learn from other people what they're doing, and sometimes you can implement some of that, or you learn what not to do. And testing is the key. Like we go out and test with these cars all the time, and for one good pass that you make, there'll be 10 passes that are complete garbage.
That's something I think a lot of people have issues with, is they don't realize that it's not all about get it done, throw it on the dyno, and then go to the track. Like there's going to be passes that are going to get you to where you need to go, and then at some point you're going to fumble the ball, and you're going to have a shit pass, and you're not going to know why.
Always.
And you gotta work back 100%. From there.
You especially in the no prep, you are learning from your mistakes 100% of the time because you don't know what's going to happen with that surface. Right. When you're on a front side event, perfectly smooth track, perfectly glued, it's not to say that it's easy, but it's predictable. You kind of know what to expect. With the no prep, you have an idea, and you've done it a bunch of times. You have a better idea, but it's still just a very educated guess, especially if it's a fresh surface that you've never been on. Like we went to one of the biggest no preps. Like we did fairly well locally with this car 3 years ago, and we brought it to Dig or Die, which is one of the biggest no preps, backside no preps in the country. 128 cars. We went out first round. Luck of the draw, we drew a guy that has won the event multiple times, and we it's part of it though, right? And we were at his door. Yeah. We were at his door. So it was honestly like I wasn't sad. I wasn't mad about it. I was like, this is wild. I didn't expect to be that close to someone that's been that good in that event, right? And then we stayed back. For the whole event, we watched and learned a lot. We learned a lot of what guys were doing, why they were doing it, and some stuff doesn't carry over. Like a lot of guys are very secretive about their setups on no prep. You know what? I don't care. I'll show you the laptop, because what's going to work on this car is I could build 2 identical cars and they'll never be identical. Right. There's always something that's going to be different. Whether it's a suspension a little bit tighter, a little bit stiffer, this, that, the car flexes a little bit. Like there's always differences. There's differences like we see in the car itself. Like we'll go back to an event that we weren't there for 6 months. All of a sudden the car's acting differently. Like, why is the car acting differently? I don't know. Maybe the chassis is slightly tweaked or whatever. Like stuff that we can't see in a data log. You know what I mean?
So would you say that this is your favorite thing dealing with now, or are these your favorite? What was your favorite build? Like something that you just did and you were like, man, that was it. I
like street cars. I love no prep, but don't like. Our main business is street cars, right? One of my favorite builds was probably a Grand National that I was showing you. Like I like stuff that is super clean, fast, fun, reliable. You can start in the morning, drive to work, and then go run, 9-second quarter mile with it, or whatever you want to do with the car. You know what I mean? Like there was a CTS. This is probably like one of my favorites. Was probably early on, like 2016 was when we first started getting into the LT stuff. I guess everybody was really, because they just came out, right? 2 years before that. And we did a V3 for a guy. And it was about a 2-year process. Like first it was like pulleys and intake and, then it just evolved and evolved and evolved. And it ended up being a 9-second street car. Yeah. The guy would literally, take his kids to ice cream, drive to the track, put a set of Mickeys on it and run 9s and then drive home. That's the kind of stuff I like.
So we're liking that. Like I like this, and I like the technical aspect of it, and I love, this with a computer that I can make my own tables and I'd go crazy in this. Mm-hmm. Problem is, it's out of my budget. But I like the street car stuff too. So 1,300 horsepower car that I can drive across the country, race, drag a bunch of asses, and drive it back. That's what I like. That's what we've always kind of stuck with. Mm-hmm. So there's something, I don't know what it is, but it's something that just seems a little more rewarding about that. Mm-hmm. But then again, it's because I haven't done enough of the no prep stuff yet.
Everything's different. There's so many aspects to this hobby, this sport, this industry in general, that you can do pretty much anything you want. But it just depends what you find something that you like and just go with it. Right? Sure. But it's not that expensive. Like this is expensive. Like a small tire car can get expensive, right? But even this one's not that crazy. This isn't a full chassis car. This is a back half. This is an old bracket car that was built in the late 90s when the guy bought it, and it's just a back half car with ladder bars. It doesn't even have what makes a Fox body a Fox body. It doesn't have the triangulated 4-link. It's just a ladder bar car that we've done some work to, but it's still not a full chassis car. Yeah. There is a lot of those in no prep now, especially in the small tire class. Because the rule is just small tire. Yeah. And most of them throw in, you have to have doors just so some guy doesn't bring a dragster into the event. It's never happened, but usually it's doors, 28, 10, 5 tire. That's it.
Well, now they got they had X275. Now what is it? X something. Where they're doing it on 26s?
Yeah. So that's actually a class now in the no prep. They call it gangster 26s. Yeah. So it's a 26 8.5 tire. Which is insane. Right. And then like the other car behind you there, that's a true street car. So we've done really well with that car too. And that is like, that car can be driven on the street. He drives it on the street all the time. It's plated. It's insured. Like he'll drive it half an hour to the track and run. This car it's a no prep car, but he's gone 8s with it in the quarter and not even really like leaning on it that hard. But this is still pretty much a dedicated no prep style build, but in a street car.
So is there a lot of, I would assume there's a big domestic market here, car wise. Like how do you handle like day-to-day business stuff, like promotion, things like that? How does that work here?
We don't do a ton of, well, it's probably not much different than anybody else in the States, but we don't do...
The reason I asked that is because, like, on the drive here, I don't really see, like, a bunch of Corvettes running around, or I don't really see a lot of the performance cars moving around out here. I haven't been here long.
I guess it's just the scale of it. Like, Canada's 10 times smaller population-wise than the U.S., roughly, right? So, you see one Corvette here, you're going to see 10 in the States, roughly. And But it's still, I would say it's still pretty much the same in terms of what people want and how things are done. It's not really much different about that. It's just on a smaller scale, right? And because we don't, being up here with the weather, we don't get to do it all year round. It changes. Like for us, we do a lot of builds in the winter, right? Big builds usually, and in the summer we're doing, our day-to-day stuff is going to be heads, cam. We do a lot of pickup trucks. Right. I guess that's one difference. That's maybe a little bit different from you guys, is because these trucks can be driven year round. So we have a ton of guys with like for example, the one in the background there is a brand new Tahoe, heads, cam, tune, drives a year round. Fun truck, not super fast, but fun. Sounds good. They make good power. But to your question, the advertising part of it, we just mostly word of mouth. We've been around a long time. We have a lot of people that we've done stuff for multiple times, and the no prep actually. One side effect of that is actually a lot of people see the cars winning, and they call us and they're like, "Hey, we saw you guys, win this event, or we saw you beat this guy or that guy, and can you do our car, or can you tune my car?" And that was kind of something that we didn't really plan for. We just did it because it was fun, and it kind of worked out. And I mean, anybody can take out an ad or pay for ads, right? But when the product that you've built is actually working, and like you don't have to tell someone, "Hey, look at me, I'm good at what I do." No, they see that, like, "Oh man, these guys know what they're doing." Yeah. Like your cars too, like your cars work. People come to you because they see that your cars work, your tunes work, right? You're not putting ads out there, for tuning, because people know who you are.
Yeah. Well, do you guys ever get customers from the States, like, to come out here? Like, in my opinion, that would be really cool, because if they were trying to build a grudge car, people aren't going to come to Canada to check out what's going on.
There's one in the dyno right now. That's from New York. Yeah. We have not a lot, but we have, and I think now that we've been kind of going into the States more with these no prep cars, people are starting to see us more. Mm-hmm. But you're right, the grudge aspect of it makes sense.
Right.
And that goes a lot of that is in the no prep stuff as well, because it's all no time.
Right.
So it's really no different than like no time grudge racing on the front side, right? Because it's still no time.
It just seems like an aspect that I've been in, with the grudge scene, where people go to great lengths to hide what's getting done to their car. But I'm like, if you only had to drive 45 minutes over the border, chances are the other guys don't have a passport. They're not coming to check it out.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if that gentleman did that or not for that reason, but yeah, we've done some cars from New York, especially. It's only 45 minutes from New York, so if you guys are watching and you're in New York, give us a call. There you go. That's my advertising.
Yeah. Well, so I guess my next thing would be, in this area, is there a lot of shops that do similar things? Like in Houston, you can throw a rock and hit 10 GM tuners.
So right now there is.
So is this like a big, is it saturated, or is it more hit or miss? And
so I would say within, let's say, an hour and a half from here, there would be probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So still quite a bit. 6
shops, right? But this area is pretty dense. Like in the GTA alone, I mean, it's 5-6 million people.
GTA?
Greater Toronto area.
I thought we were thinking Grand Theft Auto here.
No, yeah. But like Toronto itself is like 3 million, but then you have, all the cities surrounding Toronto, which they call the Greater Toronto area. That's like, yeah. I could be wrong. It's like 5 or 6 million. I don't really pay attention, but it's around there. So it's pretty saturated. So there's 6 shops for, let's say, 7-8 million people.
Oh, so it's not that bad then.
It's really not that bad, because I mean, I'm talking from like Niagara all the way out towards like London area, mm-hmm. right? And I know most of them. I get along with most of them, right? Like you're going to be at a runs on Monday, and I get along with him. And I find it over the years. Maybe when I was younger, I was a little bit different in mindset. But I like to rather work with people than against people.
Start out arrogant.
I think so. It might be not arrogance not the right word, but you start off kind of like secretive and like, I don't want this guy knowing what I'm doing, or that guy, or But honestly, I rather work with people than against people. Yeah. And I know your mindset's a lot like that too. Like when I first started watching some of your stuff, I was like, we kind of think alike, and there's just so much business. People are going to go where they're going to go, where they feel comfortable to go.
No matter what you do.
Exactly. Do your thing, put out the best product that you can do, and then people will come to you. And like I said, I talk to a run all the time, like at least once or twice a week. we bounce stuff off each other and we help each other out. He sends me guys for Holly. He doesn't do any Holly stuff. And a customer will call me and they're like, we're too busy and they need something done and we're booking 3 weeks out. And I'll say, where are you from? And he'll tell me where he's from. I said, go see a runner, or go see whoever else, Champion or whatever other and it is what it is. And I don't know if those guys send me work. I don't know, but I know a run sends me work and I send him stuff his way too. And
well, at the end of the day, it took me a long time to kind of realize that. But like the more you work with people, not only the more you're going to learn, but the more everybody's going to benefit, right?
Oh, yeah,
everybody's going to benefit from everybody working together, because if you've got something figured out, that's cool. But like there's something they might know that you never even thought about.
Yeah, we had an issue. I'll give you an example. We had an issue with a 10-speed transmission. Actually, I think I messaged you about it too. And Aaron had the customer's car beforehand, and it was a weird issue where the car would really pull a lot of timing, shifting at a very specific throttle position from like 7th, 8th, and 9th. But you were moving pretty quickly at that point, because it wasn't full throttle, but it was like maybe half throttle. So you're with an LT4. So you're in an older Bronco. It was really amazing build, and he had trouble figuring it out. I was able to figure it out, but then I had problems with the TCM not wanting to read correctly. So I reached out to him, and he told me what he did. I think I asked you as well, and then but I figured it out with him. And then when I figured out the issue, I immediately told him what the issue was, so that if he ever encountered it, he could fix it. And again, it's not about like, I'm better than him, he's better than me. I'd rather work with people and better ourselves as a whole.
Yeah. And it's gonna catch on. Yeah. More people are starting to do it. More people are starting to work together that I've seen, and it's gonna make everybody better.
Exactly.
So what's the future? What's the plans? Where do we go from here?
I guess keep going how we're going. I don't know with the way the economy is right now, and all these talks of tariffs. Tariffs haven't really affected us right now. Maybe on the tires. It's about the only thing that's really the government put a 25% tariff on the tires. But everything that's been happening with just between the two countries is just kind of wild right now, and you don't know what's going to happen. But I hope it doesn't affect us too much. So far, other than the tires, it's been kind of the same.
Yeah.
But I guess the plan is just to kind of keep doing what we're doing, and eventually, I don't know if I want to get into more of anything other than what we're doing. Maybe a little bit more of the remote tuning, just to kind of get out there. And we've had customers come down to us from Ottawa, 6 hours away, drive down multiple times, and there's a couple shops out there. I don't want to name them, but a lot of guys choose to come here for whatever their reason is. I don't want to say it. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but it's the remote tuning. I think will kind of open up more avenues for people to be able to access tuners and know what they're doing, right? Because some local guys may think they know what they're doing, and everybody has to start somewhere, But sometimes I've seen tunes, like there's a lot of guys. I don't know if you've come across this a lot, but there's a lot of guys that are like doing it out of their backyard, and I mean, I started out of my backyard. I guess I can't really say anything bad about that, but
I would have to say, sadly, some of the better tunes I've seen were done by people that come out of their backyard, but have been doing it for a little while.
Well, that's just it, right?
Some of the shops that you just see that are starting to kind of get stuck in their ways.
Like I don't like to take money from anybody unless I know 100% I can do the job correctly, right? And there's stuff I've tried on my own vehicles multiple times before I ever will try it on a customer's car,
right?
And then with the race cars, we have the opportunity to try things a little bit more because these guys understand like some of these risks. Like no matter how well you build something, when you're making this kind of power, something's gonna happen. It doesn't matter if it's perfectly built, everything's 100%. There's always a chance that something can happen. Nothing lasts forever. I heard Steve Morris say something the other day. I was literally opened my eyes to this. He says the top of our field of this performance industry is like top fuel dragsters, and they're rebuilding those engines after every pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the best of the best is fixing it after every single pass. So everything down from that just kind of scales down, but it's still going to break. Nothing lasts forever. A stock car, they give you a 100,000 mile warranty or whatever, 50,000 mile warranty, but we're not making stock power anymore. We're pushing these things, right?
What all platforms do you cover?
So for the last 10 years, we've only really been doing LS, LT, Hemi, and Coyote.
Okay, so you cover the big
Domestic V8. Domestic V8, not quite accurate because we also do, we actually have the fastest F-150 EcoBoost in Canada right now. He runs 10.7s with a 4-door pickup truck, V6 pickup truck. And it's going to be even faster because we're doing some crazy stuff to it. But primarily domestic V8 stuff, I would say majority is LS and LT. And not because I think it's a better platform. It's just what people bring us, I guess. Right. You know, I think the Coyote is a phenomenal engine, and so is the Hemi. They all have their pros and cons, I guess. Oh, yeah. Right? Like, I mean, nothing's perfect. There's no perfect engine. There's no perfect combo. There's no perfect camshaft. It's what you're doing. I get that question a lot, you know, because we sell Texas Speed cams. Like, oh, what's the best cam? No such thing. Yeah, what are you doing?
The application.
Yeah, people ask me, well, I tow with my truck. Well, then the cam you want is not this cam, it's that cam.
Yeah.
You know, or I only drag race with my truck on Saturdays. Well, then maybe this cam will be better.
You need the Monday cam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you remote Hemi and Coyote as well?
No, right now we're just, like, if you go on our website, it's only GM stuff right now on the website. Not I won't, it's just we haven't, to be honest, just haven't updated the website to include those yet. Okay. But mostly LS and LT, yeah.
So how do people get a hold of you, just the website or?
Website or Instagram, so BMStuning.ca, Instagram is BMS.tuning. We have a Facebook page, but I don't check that one that often. I think the Instagram and the Facebook and the website is probably the main ones.
Instagram up here, I guess? Well, I know, like, if you go to the West Coast, it's all Instagram. Nobody uses Facebook there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I guess Instagram is, I mean, I have Facebook, but I think Facebook is more for me anyway, more of a personal thing, and then Instagram is more of a business thing.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. Maybe some people do it differently, but that's how I do it.
So, and if you type in BMStuning.ca, it does work. It's not a typo.
So we actually do just recently acquired the BMStuning.com. You know, what do you call it? URL, the domain.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find the right word there. So we'll be probably using that one too. But it really, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. The one that we had a few customers. I just did ironically, we were just talking that I don't have Hemi listed on our website, but we just did a 2023 Durango in Arizona. He bought one of our RTD devices, shipped it out, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, and I guess it's a good thing for us, is when you go on HP Tuner's website, they don't list any American dealers. Mm-hmm. Only Canadian and international dealers. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't want to assume as to why, but if you go on their dealer map, the entire United States is blank. So we've been getting, ever since we got put on their dealer map as a remote dealer and as a TDN dealer,
right.
App, we've been getting like international calls, like maybe not daily, but quite a bit. And I'm not advertising in the States, right? You know, but
that's good though.
I guess it's good, but I'm not sure why they don't. I don't know.
Sometimes we don't ask questions of things we don't want to know the answer to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's maybe EPA related, but I don't know.
We don't say that word.
You bleep that one out.
Very likely the cause. Do you feel like we've covered everything, or?
I guess so.
So much to cover in such a little time, but I thought that said Mopar V6.
No, but there's a diverse amount of cars here. I mean, I guess not just the no prep cars, but there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
But I guess it's like everywhere else you go. It's kind of the same, really, right? Like, do you see anything different? The way you guys are doing stuff up here than down where you're from?
Popeyes wasn't good.
Popeyes. I've never had Popeyes down south, so I don't know.
That was pretty depressing. I'm not gonna lie. That was probably the most depressing part of my week.
Yeah.
Was that Popeyes? No, I mean, honestly, just the roads were a little different. But I assume that you've got so much hot, cold, that how would the roads ever be good?
They're never good. Like, we have.
And how do you test things? How do you, like, I know you got a dyno, but you know you got to put it on the street. So how do you do that here?
Dyno is only for getting it kind of, getting the tune-up safe, getting it tune-up good. It's just a tool, right? You have to drive the car on the street. People always ask me, do you just dyno tune or do you street tune? Well, everything is both. If I'm putting it in the dyno, I'm driving it on the street.
Right.
So I don't like to drive cars too hard on the streets. I drive them kind of normal. But we're lucky in the sense that there's 2 local tracks. There's one literally 30 minutes away.
Oh, nice.
and that one is a full-on road course, like a nice road course, not like a super high-end road course, but a nice road course, and a drag strip. So they both kind of work for that. And then there's also another hour and a half away, there's St. Thomas, and then 2.5 hours away, there's Grand Bend Motorplex, which is also a road course end.
Do you guys do any like half-mile stuff up here?
There's a couple events that they do on some airstrips. I've never done it, but they do exist. There's half-mile events that exist. I don't remember the name. There's also a Dragon Drive that is happening August around here between the 3 local tracks as well.
That'd be cool.
The 2, I don't know for sure.
We plan on getting into some of the Dragon Drive stuff. I think it's really cool.
I think I'm actually building a car. I like to do it as well.
Yeah.
I think that actually makes more sense for us for a business standpoint because we build streetcars mainly.
Yeah.
Like there was a point where we were only showing so much prep stuff on Instagram. We've had people message us, "Hey, do you guys still build streetcars?" I'm like, "Oh well, shit, I should probably start posting more of our regular
content." The attention span is very short.
We've never stopped building streetcars. Yeah. I just maybe stopped posting about streetcars as much as I should.
What is that?
That is a 1948 Ford Anglia.
I know you guys can't see it, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was either when it first came in here, to be honest with you. My one tech did. Apparently they were I could be wrong, so someone's gonna get angry probably, but I think they were made in England.
Looks like it.
And they have a pretty big following apparently. Just recently there was a car show, Motorama, and there was there's like 10 of them there. I was like, holy crap, I've never seen this thing in my life. Now there's 10 of them here. So anyway, long story, we're putting an LS in it, obviously. We're putting a 408, 4L80, just a driver. Yeah, the guy, it came in with a bunch of problems, and after talking with a customer what he wanted to use the car for, I thought that was the best way. Like it was a carbureted setup, then someone tried to put a sniper on it, and it didn't quite work out, and the motor had issues, and it was a whole thing. So then we ended up, actually the motor wasn't the problem. The problem was the distributor and all that. But anyway, we ended up putting a LS, or we're building an LS for it. It's not in there yet.
Yeah. So as far as aftermarket computers, just before we wrap up, what aftermarkets do you support?
We mainly do Holley, Fuel Tech, Haltech, and Link. So we do Holley on a lot of street cars. A lot of swaps end up being on Holley just because it's simple. It's simple. It's easy. It's readily available. We tune a lot of bikes. A lot of people don't know that. We tune a lot of bikes. We tune really, really fast bikes, like fastest no bar street tire bike in Canada. Actually, we tune, and a bunch of other ones as well. These guys are you ever see a bike make 550 wheel?
I have, but it's
These are 6-second quarter-mile bikes, pretty wild. All those are on Fuel Tech. I like Holley. I like Fuel Tech. Haltech has been really good too. I haven't done a ton with Haltech, but
they're doing a lot more.
They're doing more, and with the Nexus Rebel LS, it's a really competitive ECU to the Terminator. In some cases, maybe even better. And we do a lot of drift cars, like pro-level drift cars. So the guys next door to us actually build a lot of drift cars, Fabmac Industries, and we do all their tuning. And all that stuff is on Link. For, I think I think it's Pro Spec, the 1 series requires you to be on Link.
What do you like about the difference between those, right? Like what makes you choose the Link over?
Well, the Link, for example, is kind of, I don't choose it, they choose it. It has to be in that vehicle. Why they did that, I don't know, but I guess they have certain rules, like you can't use certain aids, so they all have to run a specific firmware for that series. So that's why they do that. But they're all good. That's the thing. That's the question. People always ask me, what's better? I'm really used to the Holley when it comes to the no prep stuff, but I really like the Fuel Tech stuff lately.
Why?
I don't know if it's only one thing about it. Like, I like the simplicity of the way it installs, for one, because it's all in one unit.
Isn't it all into the dash?
It's all in the dash. Like,
are you talking FT600?
Like an FT550, FT600, for example, it's even the new ones coming out, they're incredible, but it's all in the dash, right? And
do you think that has a processing issue or no?
Not that I've seen. The stuff is phenomenal. And I mean, a lot of big up, you see a lot of pro mods running FT600s, you know what I mean? And people think, they look at the price point of an FT600, they look at the price of a Holley Dominator, and they're like, oh, this is more money. Yeah, but you're getting a screen. You're getting a map sensor, 7-bar map sensor built in. You don't have to pay to unlock the traction control. Right. There's a lot of things, and like I said, nothing wrong with Holley. We run them in all of our cars. It's just what you're used to. But I think Fuel Tech, built-in G meter, built-in accelerometer. There's a lot of things that it has that other ones don't have, and you can actually call someone like. I hope Holley doesn't get mad at me for this, but the Fuel Tech support is phenomenal.
Well, like Haltech tech support's been really good for me, but mostly because I like working at night and they're awake.
Yeah.
But don't they have a 24-hour thing?
Haltech?
I think so.
I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever actually used their support, but Fuel Tech.
On a rotary one.
Yeah. Fuel Tech support is probably one of the best in the industry. And they will like actually work with you, and they got all kinds of stuff. You see the stuff that got coming out now for the 10 speeds and the 8 HPs and all that. Yeah, nobody's doing it. There's reasons
to these questions.
Yeah, nobody's doing. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. Max ECU. I've never played with one.
I've seen the harness of a Max ECU somewhere in Houston. Eurocharge. They had one, and it looks like a Motec harness.
This stuff is really nice.
It was really nice.
There's a local guy, Polish guy, Radek. He does tuning as well, but he does it on higher end vehicles. Mm-hmm. Like he works at FAF in Toronto, where they sell like Paganis and Porsches and all that, and he does tuning on that kind of stuff, McLarens. And he's a Max ECU dealer, and he's been trying to get me to do it. And Max ECU, for example, you can put one in. The CAN bus aspect of it is wild. Like you can take a Max ECU, you can control a Dodge 8 HP transmission directly. Like it will communicate through CAN bus to that TCM. It will communicate at the same time through another CAN bus channel to a GM vehicle. Let's say you put a GM with an 8 HP, and it will run the dash and everything else. So it's doing two different types of CAN bus at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you have other ECUs that don't do any of that at all.
Holley. That was my only downside of the Holley stuff is I really like the integration. I really like and this is why I like the Motec, right? Yeah. So like Delgado makes that FTR system. I mean, in the video I showed you can see he presses his cruise control button for anti-lag. And you can repurpose whatever button in the car that you want to do whatever you want it to do. And you can do all that through the Motec.
I don't know why the Holley won't
do it. Like why they don't have the ability to output. They probably have.
I'm sure they have the ability. They just don't do it.
Why they won't do it, I don't know.
So, like, I'll get the Holley aspect for that. But when I'm going to want some kind of other wild integration, I feel like we're more limited. Where it seems like Haltech is getting into that. I don't think Fuel Tech is, but I know the Max ECU is.
Max ECU
has been for a while. Fuel Tech. I know they're getting into it now because, like I said, they have the harness now for a 10. We actually have a local customer that's building a car with an FT, a truck, a GM truck, turbo with a 10-speed and an FT600.
Good. So FT600, yeah.
FT600 with a 10-speed in a GM, I think it's like a, I'm not sure if it's an OBS truck or if it's like an 06-ish somewhere around there, but turbo, nice truck. We tuned it before on a stock ECU, and now he's putting, he does his own work. He's putting his Fuel Tech in it, so.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I think like
the 10-speed would be a lot cooler.
It's cool, like to make everything work. I like that aspect of it too. And like I said, some of the ones we use, unfortunately, they don't really offer that. I don't know why, but like I know Holley, you can do the 6-speed stuff now. Well, you've been able to do it for a while, but I've never actually done one with a 6-speed and a Holley yet.
Yeah.
You tried it?
It's not the greatest.
But you can still, I believe you can still tune the TCM with HP tuners.
Yeah,
right?
but then you're building a map that is not very adaptable.
I know you can
have like you can set up your torque, like a virtual torque stuff in the Holley to work with that, but I've never actually done it.
The factory torque tables and the dynamic ability of that versus what you get in the Holley. Yeah. That's where I think that the lack is. I think for a race car, sure. Yeah. But for a daily, it gets a little wonky.
I could see that.
I could see that being the case because there's a reason there's so many tables in a GM.
Yeah. GM's not doing anything they don't have to do.
No, for sure.
But I think that covers it. I think we've, if you want to just touch real quick one more time on how people can find you.
BMStuning.ca, BMStuning.com soon, our Instagram, BMS.tuning on Instagram, or you just come by the shop. We're always here.
In Canada.
In Canada, hey.
All right, that'll be it. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next one.